Welcome to the Disney Wedding Podcast. This show is brought to you by Carrie Hayward's Fairy Tale Weddings Guide, the only guidebook and bridal organizer tailored exclusively to Disney's fairy tale weddings at Walt Disney World. I'm Carrie Hayward, and each week I feature Disney wedding updates, money-saving tips, and interviews with wedding vendors and real Disney couples. I also cover honeymoons, anniversaries, and engagements at the Disney parks and resorts. Join me now as the Disney Wedding Podcast celebrates romance at Disney destinations. Today on the Disney Wedding Podcast, I am speaking with Tracy Brobyn and Michael Kiernan about their vow renewal at the Wedding Pavilion with a reception at Ariel's. I thought you guys would be interested to hear how they decided to have a vow renewal, how they chose their locations, and how it all turned out. So welcome, Tracy and Michael.
Hi, Carrie.
Hello.
It's really an honor for us to be here.
Thanks so much for being on the show today. I would love to start at the very beginning and find out how you guys decided you wanted to have a vow renewal and to have it at Disney.
Wow. Well, first time I thought about having a vow renewal was probably about 20 years ago. Because we've been huge Disney fans since the 90s, I guess. When we first went to Disney World, we were 21, I guess.
Around there.
Around 21 years old. We had just gotten engaged. And so that would have been 1991, a very long time ago. And I noticed that people were getting married at Disney World, but it just seemed to be like just a couple, like one couple, they didn't seem to be having parties or guests or anything like that. And at the time, we got married in 1993, and I just felt like it wasn't possible. It didn't seem like it was a thing back then to get married at Disney. And so when I first saw that people were doing vow renewals, it was probably around 2005, 2003. And so going way back, we always wanted to do it. We had tried to do it many, many times, but we had a lot of kids. We have 4 children and life and all the things that come with that. So we finally thought, okay, 25 is the magic number. And then more things got in the way. And then, of course, global pandemic, because why not? So it was like, okay, now, when are we going to do this? And then as soon as things started clearing up, we were like, we're doing this. Because I had started saving up for it maybe about 5 years ago. And I was just like, we have to just do this now. And we're DVC members, and we bring our kids to Disney, at least once a year, generally speaking. And it's become a really special place for us as a family. So that was how we decided.
Well, in many ways, Disney was the place where our family came together in the busyness of life and where we recreated in common. And in some ways, our children grew up there. They have been going to Disney since their earliest memories. And they have looked forward to a Disney vacation sometimes every year, sometimes more than once a year, and sometimes maybe a year in between trips. But they've been there quite often, and it has a lot of memories for us as a family.
Mm-hmm.
That's wonderful. So then how did your friends and family react when they found out you were going to have a vow renewal at Disney?
Well, we hemmed and hawed about this a lot because we really didn't know how people were going to take it. We were making a big deal about it. And we were spending a lot of money, and we were spending a lot of time planning it. And we just weren't sure how that was going to be received because it was sort of like having another wedding, right? But actually, that went really well. Most people were really excited about it. One wonderful thing about having a vow renewal is that, if somebody doesn't seem excited or gives you a hard time, just don't invite them. Like, it doesn't matter. You know, it's like so awesome. You don't have to invite anybody you don't like. You know, I mean, I had people who canceled on me because they were, you know, getting trees removed out of their yard. And, I had people that, one of my friends, I don't know how she made a comment about how everybody she knew had a vow renewal ended up divorced. And I was like, yep, we don't need to invite her. It was really, but I mean, the people that did come, holy moly, they were really on board. I mean, it was a really, really amazing event.
In some ways, we almost vetted our guests in a way. We floated trial balloons to let them know that we were thinking about it, and then assessed their reaction to see, whether or not they would be interested. And what I mean by that is we understood that coming to Disney for our vow renewal would involve expense, it would involve vacation time, it would be a disruption to their life. And so we didn't want people to come who felt obligated. Rather, we wanted people who were invested in what we were doing. And so by doing that, by screening people, so to speak, I think it actually had a very positive effect on the event itself, because those people who were there wanted to be there and were not there out of obligation.
Yeah, that's really true. A lot of the people we invited, they were known Disney fans, let's put it that way. I think the only person that we invited who wasn't a huge Disney fan was probably my mother, and she had to come because she's my mother. But otherwise, these were pro-Disney people, I would say, yes.
So how many guests did you invite, and how many were able to make the trip?
We invited about 34 people, and 32 made the trip. Yeah.
Wow.
They were vetted. What it was.
That's great. Did you set up a room block for your guests?
We did. I am not sure that's absolutely necessary for the most part, but I don't know. At the time, I was trying really hard to get everybody at the boardwalk, which was where we were staying. But we had the choices. We had the boardwalk, we had Port Orleans French Quarter, and then we had Art of Animation. Yes, we had one guest who stayed there, and that was nice because I think it was connected by the Skyliner. And then the people that stayed at French Quarter, Port Orleans, they both of those families had cars, so it wasn't a problem that they weren't on the Skyline. But in retrospect, I probably would have chosen Caribbean Beach because it was on the Skyline. But it worked out because they both had cars. And then everybody else stayed at Boardwalk. But we did have one family who stayed at the Poly because they were DVC members. It was fine. I mean, I was a little worried, that I wasn't going to fill my room block. You know how that, I find out all of this information from your book, by the way, which, by the way, anybody who has a Disney wedding doesn't get your book is... You can't do it. You just have to get your book. That's it. But yeah, I mean, I learned all about this from you, that it's possible that if you don't fill the minimum number of rooms that you could get charged, but that Disney rarely does that if you don't fill it, they'll have you buy something else. But we filled ours, so it was good. I think we chose the minimum number though. But, all of our friends who had DVC, all of their rooms counted, towards our minimum. It didn't count towards our free room, but even the free room, we were able to make that. We ended up with one free night.
Oh, that's great. And since you were staying DVC, did you just put it on one end of your trip or the other?
Yeah, we did. We spent 2 nights in the Grand Floridian, which was not in the DVC, right? It was the regular hotel afterwards. We did this crazy thing where we stayed in 3 different locations. So the first part of the week we were in Animal Kingdom, and then we were 3 nights at the Boardwalk, and then 2 nights at the Grand, but not in the DVC, the regular rooms. And one of those nights was comped because of our room block. And since we did our park shoot a couple days after the the Vow Renewal, that worked out nicely too, because then we were at the Grand, staying there. The room block people were awesome. They were really, really good with my guests.
Oh, that's great to hear. How did you guys choose the day of the week and time of day? Did you pick your actual anniversary for your vow renewal?
No, no. Our actual anniversary is July 24th. And there was no way in hell we were going to have a vow renewal in Florida in July. Because we've gone to Florida plenty of times in the summer and that wasn't happening. So believe it or not, I got online and looked to see when sunset would be, how much precipitation Florida gets at any given time of year, and what the average temperatures are, and that's how I chose what time of the year to do it. So October 1, because of that, because it's a low time of precipitation. The temperatures are nice and in the middle, not too hot, not too cold. And we did this a week before daylight savings, so we still had the long days. So that was how I chose that. And the day of the week was just a function of what was cheapest, for the minimums. But to be quite honest, I'm not sure that was necessary because, I totally went over the minimums on everything. So I don't know if I really needed to pick a Wednesday, but we picked a Wednesday because the minimums were better. And the time of day was the same. It was based on the minimums. All I would say about that, just for your listeners, if it's helpful, is we had our ceremony at noon, and I thought that would give me plenty of time in the morning to get ready. But what ended up happening was Stacy showed up for the hair and makeup at like 3:30 in the morning because we had to be ready for pictures at like 8 o'clock and downstairs by 9:30. So the timeline was a little strained, but that's okay. It worked out.
So then how did you guys choose your ceremony and reception venues?
The ceremony, initially we were thinking, well, Wilderness Lodge is our home resort and we love it there, but they no longer do weddings there. I think it's because the pool was too close to Sunset Point, which where they used to do them. So we were debating whether to do maybe the gazebo at Boardwalk or maybe out, like an outdoor ceremony in Canada. But the Canada ceremonies have to be really, really early in the morning, and I just didn't want to do that. So we kind of like went to different venues just to look at them. And I mean, I had always loved the Wedding Pavilion, and when we went there to see it, I was just like, it's just amazing, and I can't not do we have to have the Wedding Pavilion.
I don't think there was ever any doubt it was going to be the Wedding Pavilion.
I was like debating in my head, but really it was going to be the Wedding Pavilion. Yeah, it was beautiful. So beautiful in there. And with Ariel's, yeah. That was a little more tricky. What I really wanted initially was the American Rotunda in EPCOT, but unfortunately there's like an 85-person minimum, and there was no way I was going to make those minimums. So when we looked at some different venues, I just felt like Ariel's it's just so sweet, and they have that really cool dance floor. And I knew at that point that I wanted dancing and that I wanted to have a DJ. And so it ended up being Ariel's. But we did look at some other places. We looked at the Attic, and we ended up choosing the Attic for our farewell brunch. But the Attic, you can't have dancing and a DJ there. So that's what nixed it for us as an actual reception site for the vow renewal. And then the other options were Living Seas. If we couldn't have had Ariel's, we probably would have gone for the Living Seas. And then for our welcome party, we always wanted to do a fireworks party at EPCOT. And we chose the UK because it came so highly recommended by you. So it was absolutely amazing. I was one of the...
Great location.
Yeah, fantastic.
Everyone had a great time that night.
Yep, it was amazing.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, did you guys use any outside vendors for your event?
You can't use a whole lot of outside vendors with Ariels. So really for us, the main vendor we had to have, which was absolutely not negotiable, was the Roots. Again, because of you. Because I absolutely adore your photos, and I started following them years ago. And we actually did a family shoot when my daughter graduated from college at the Grand Floridian with Nate, and love the pictures from that. And we used those pictures for our Vow Renewal website. And what I did with Nate was I said, okay, I'm calling you first. You tell me what's your schedule and I will work around it. And actually, in retrospect, now that I'm thinking about it, one of the reasons we chose that Wednesday was because Nate had a wedding the day before. So I chose that Wednesday because he was available the Wednesday and I had to have him. I had to. So that's the one decision I'll never regret. I mean, they're just amazing. Otherwise, it was Stacy and her team for the hair and makeup, because you can't get that through Disney, and she's phenomenal. The other vendors I got through Disney, although they were tremendous, and that was Cinemedia, Steve Graham and his group, phenomenal. Our videos are I think they're just amazing. Crying and laughing at the same time. That's how it is watching them. And it's not just our family either. I had my whole office staff watching them the other day, and they were just mesmerized. It was really funny because a lot of them hadn't been there, and they really thought the videos were amazing. Then we had Michael Vu. He did our park shoot and our welcome party. He's fantastic. I can't recommend him highly enough. He's got a lot of little tricks too for the park shoots, and create a lot of creative ideas that I don't think I've seen from a lot of the Disney photographers. So highly recommend him. And then our DJ, Steve Dunlap. That guy was unbelievable. When I tell you, he had everyone dancing. I mean, there was like 30 people. It wasn't a big group, okay? And I mean, we had the most fantastic time with him. I mean, he had us doing the Vogue dance where everybody walks the catwalk. He had us doing lip sync contests, which were just hysterical. He had us, every time it seemed like people might be getting bored of a song, he would switch the song, and he would do like big groups of songs like from different decades, from like the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. I mean, he was just amazing, and I'm so happy we got him. We got really lucky.
I thought we were lucky with all the people that you just mentioned. In particular, I was very pleased with Nate and his wife. I had a really good connection and flow with them, and I felt perfectly comfortable with them at any given time. And the pictures, I think, reflect that the family felt that way as well. Mm-hmm. The videography, I think, is really special in that it's a permanent record which transports you back to the event, all these months later. We just received it recently, so it was about a 6-month turnaround or so. And watching the video, the short story, and then the extended coverage of the reception and the ceremony really just brought the event back. And it put me in connection with the feelings I had in those moments. So I'm very happy that we have that. Mm-hmm. And in terms of the DJ, he was very, very good. I had concerns going into this that given the time of day, given that it was midweek, and given that we had a relatively small group, I was concerned that the dancing would be a big flop, and it was anything but. Oh, yeah. It was constant and ongoing, and really it was the main focus of the reception, which is essentially what any wedding type event should be. The reception is dancing and everyone having a good time, and that's what happened. And so I was very grateful that Tracy, through your podcast and research, were able to identify all these people because they were the perfect fit for us.
That's wonderful. How did you guys choose someone to officiate your vow renewal?
We are practicing Catholics, and that was actually one of the other reasons why we did not get married at Disney World when we originally got married was, you can't get married on Disney property in a Catholic ceremony. But since we're already married, that wasn't a problem. So we actually checked out the local church, Corpus Christi.
Corpus Christi in Celebration.
Yes, in Celebration. And there's the pastor of that church is a wonderful man named Father Trout, and he's just a doll and really just the sweetest guy. And he officiated, and so we had our crucifix on the altar. Well, it's not an altar, but the table there, the center table, and that we had made. That we bought a crucifix that was made in Israel. And Father Trout officiated. It was beautiful. It was a really beautiful ceremony. And short, because it wasn't a full mass, obviously.
I sort of took the lead on coordinating with Father Trout. One of the few things that I took the lead on. Tracy was in charge of about 99.9% of everything else.
You can tell I'm a little anal.
But I was able to handle that. And they were very easy to work with at the parish. I essentially just had to connect with them initially by a phone call and then a couple of emails. I provided proof that we had in fact been married in the Catholic Church because they wanted to know that, and so that they wouldn't get scammed into doing a faux Catholic wedding, right? So I provided proof for our wedding certificate that we had in fact been married by a Catholic priest. And once that was in place, they just they put us in their book, and I think perhaps a week or so before we connected with them again just to exchange notes on what we wanted in the ceremony. They had like a template that we could work with, like you would expect, and it went fine.
Fantastic. Now, from your numerous catered events that you had, do you have any menu items that you would recommend or cake flavors?
Sure. For the welcome party, we tried to do a Haunted Mansion theme to that party, and because we really love the Haunted Mansion. And I tried to kind of do a Haunted Mansion theme menu. So we had the Nacho Grande bar, which was a big hit. Again, because you've told me about that many times through your various ways of reaching us. And we also had beef empanadas with the cilantro cream sauce, and that was amazing. Those were amazing.
That was a big hit.
Yep. And we had one of our favorite desserts at EPCOT is the Norway rice dream with the strawberries. It's like rice pudding kind of that they have at Norway. And so we had that. And then we had zebra domes because everybody loves zebra domes. And then we had the Mickey shaped macaroons, but the chef made for us Halloween themed macaroons. They're decorated like pumpkins and mummies and spider webs and purple and orange. That was really neat. And I bought these Mickey ears on Etsy that were Halloween themed, and I passed those out. So everybody got their Mickey ears that were Halloween themed. And then we also had Pog Juice, and we paid the extra money for those glow ice cubes, which made everything glow, which was also very Haunted Mansion. And we had the Haunted Mansion themed linens, and we had the votive candles with red rose petals in them, which all, kind of added to the spooky theme. Well, fun spooky theme of the welcome party. Yeah. The vow renewal itself, we had a lot of stuff that lots of people have recommended. You've probably heard this menu a million times, but for the cocktail hour, it was the cheeseburger spring rolls with the curry tomato cream, the petite lobster clubs with bacon, And then we had red pepper goat cheese and olive tapenade crostini. Those were very good. The lobster clubs were good, but a little on the dry side. But the cheeseburger spring rolls were just to die for. You've heard it before. I'll say it again. They're to die for. And then for the reception, we had the strawberry and field green salad and a vegetable medley, the Alaskan halibut with the lemon garlic roasted tomatoes.
It was very good.
Yeah, and the boneless beef short rib, which that is really their best thing, I think. And I had the Canadian pretzel rolls because I grew up in Canada and I love those. And we had for our cake, well, cake is extremely important to me, just like it is you, Carrie. So it's extremely important to me. So this is what we did. The bottom layer was the chocolate with the peanut butter mousse. Now, we did the peanut butter mousse. Now, I know you normally recommend the peanut butter buttercream, right? I don't know why we didn't go for that. But anyway, it was the peanut butter mousse. That's your basic one. The top one, we kind of went a little different. We got almond cake with dark chocolate hazelnut, and that was very good. And then we had a side sheet so that we would have extra of the lavender with lemon curd and blueberries. They were all very good.
Great. Can you tell me a little bit about the farewell brunch that you planned?
Sure. So that was at the attic. We did the Tallahassee breakfast buffet for that one. It was great. I mean, we had the scrambled eggs with chives and cheddar cheese and the Mickey waffles because my daughter loves Mickey waffles, so we had to have that. And bacon, sausage, hash browns. It was a lot of food. It was actually the day before my middle son's birthday, so he was about to turn 19. So I had another cake for him because I really like cake, and also I love seeing what they can do. You know what I mean with the cake. I had them do a 6-inch ratatouille themed cake that said "Happy Birthday, Matthew," and it came out, I kid you not, in the shape of cheese. It was a wedge of cheese, and you could not tell that it was cheese. I thought it was cheese, but it was cake, and it was really good. It was the churro cake with the churro filling.
That's right.
That was really good.
That was very good.
And just when you think you can't eat more cake, you can. You actually can. So, I mean, I could. So it was really good. The farewell brunch, that was a beautiful event as well. We really had a great time. And that was just the next morning at like 11 o'clock the next morning, 11 to 1.
Sounds great. Can you give my listeners a timeline of how the Vow Renewal Day ran?
It was early. Now, I have to preface that by saying I am a night person, okay? I'm not usually a big morning person. And so I thought having a noon ceremony was going to give me plenty of time, and I wouldn't have to get up at the crack of dawn, but I did have to get up at the crack of dawn. So, and I hadn't had a lot of sleep the night before, just because we had so much going on. And the welcome party was the night before. So I think Stacy showed up at about 3 or 4 in the morning. I think it was. And I had I have 4 children. My oldest is 26 and that's a boy. And then I have a 24-year-old daughter. And then I have a 19-year-old son and a 16-year-old son. And so Stacy was doing hair for me, my mother, 2 of my best friends, and my daughter. And so that was, how many people is that? 5. So she had to come at like 4 in the morning. So we were doing hair and makeup until about 7, and we made Michael get up and get us coffee because it was bad, like we really needed coffee. And poor Michael had to go all the way over to some bagel place on the other side of town.
Well, yeah, I mean, a point about that. Just because I don't have to do makeup doesn't mean I have time in the morning to do it. But that's point number one. Point number two is if you think you're going to go off property, get coffee and bagels and do it quickly, you're not. It was about a 90-minute foray in the early morning hours. And then I had to get ready myself, and then, of course, do things for my sons, like tie their ties and iron their shirts and so forth. And meanwhile, the ladies were eating the bagels that I bought them, and I'm ironing shirts. So that didn't seem entirely equitable, but nonetheless, that's what occurred.
Yeah, that's what happened. I didn't know he was ironing stuff, but then when I think about my youngest, I believe it. He can be a little bit scattered. So we were doing that from about 4 in the morning until about 8. I think Nathan arrived around 8. That's when they did all the pre-ceremony pictures, taking pictures of the dress and stuff like that. I actually I had debated whether I should even do that. I mean, it was a vow renewal, so I didn't know if that was really necessary to do the first look and all of that thing. Because, let's face it, I mean, I woke up next to Michael. I don't, he saw me, however, I thought it might be nice. And I think it was a good decision. Although I've heard a lot of brides say that it was the highlight of their day to do the first look. I wouldn't say it was the highlight of my day, but it was nice. It was a nice thing to do. The first look was at 9:15. That was what it said in my BEO. So first, my daughter did first look with her dad, and then I did my first look with Michael, and that was really nice. And then we went to the boardwalk and took family pictures from about 9:30 to 10:30, and then we traveled to the Grand with our kids, just the 4 kids. And we took pictures at the Grand from about 11 to 11:30. And then from about 11:30 to 12, we were trying to regroup, so we went to that little vestibule, that getting ready room in the Wedding Pavilion, right. Which was lovely. And actually, I sang a song with my sons and it was a group of us. It was my 3 sons and one of my best friends and one of my son's best friends. We sang a piece together. And so we were kind of rehearsing in that room, which the Disney Entertainment people found quite interesting, which I thought was funny because, you would think something like that was commonplace, but my impression was that it was not commonplace. So we did a little rehearsal, and then the ceremony started at noon. And my daughter brought her grandfather up the aisle, and then my younger 2 sons brought their grandmother up the aisle, and then our 4 kids processed. And then we processed together down the aisle. So there was no giving away kind of thing because it was a vow renewal. That's kind of how we did it. And I think the ceremony was over about 12:20. It was probably about 20 minutes long. Then we did a group shot with everybody in the Wedding Pavilion. And then we did a bubble exit, which was really fun. And then Michael and I took some pictures at Picture Point. And everybody else got on the bus or got in their cars to go to Ariel's. All the other people went to the pre-reception, which was at Crescent Cove. And it's so beautiful there, but it's really hot. It was hot. It was too hot. So that was from 1 to 2. And we had a guitarist, and that was beautiful. He played beautifully. I don't know his name. I got him through Disney, and it was that was
worth it.
That was worth it. It was a nice touch, I thought, really nice. And having the food there on the beach, it was really cool. But it was too hot. And so what are you going to do? But it was a beautiful day, though. I don't think you could have gotten a better day than what we had. It was just gorgeous. So we ended up joining them at about 1:15 because we didn't want to miss our pre-reception. I know sometimes people do that. They end up taking pictures during their pre-reception. And I was like, no way. I paid for lobster. I'm eating the lobster. And I did. I took a bunch of those little petite clubs and I took the lobster right out of it. And I ate that. Yeah. And it was good.
They were good.
They were good. And the cheeseburger spring rolls, which were awesome. So then the reception started at 2 and it went to 6. Yeah. And there were some other, I mean, we did lots of things during the reception. Like we did, because it was a vow renewal, we didn't do things the same way, right? We did have a first dance, which was beautiful. But then you can't stop me from singing. I'm always singing. So I sang some more. We did some speeches and I sang a song to my kids, which was a song basically making fun of them that a friend of mine wrote. It was actually, I don't know if you know the movie Tangled, but you know how the Mother Knows Best song? So a friend of mine rewrote the lyrics to that song, and it was called Mother Knows You, and she wrote the lyrics based on what I told her about my kids. And so it was like a comedic moment, where I sang this song to them, and it was funny, I thought. Well, I mean, I thought it was funny. My kids thought it was funny, I thought.
They did.
Yeah. And then I sang a song to Michael. I thought that went well.
It was very nice.
Yeah. And we ate, and then we had the cake cutting, and during the cake cutting, that's when they brought out Mickey and Goofy. So that was probably somewhere around 3:30, maybe. Yeah, 3:30, I think. And that was huge. That was really huge. If anybody's ever on the fence about getting characters, I would just say it's not just, we love the characters, of course. We've been going to Disney for so long. But I really felt like it brought the energy up of the whole reception. Like it just was.
I knew that it was worth it within 5 seconds of them walking into the room because it just supercharged the energy in the room.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a collective gasp. We kept it as a surprise,
Yes,
even to the kids.
Yeah,
and
no one knew.
It was just such a huge hit, and I know it's very expensive, but I felt that it was worth it just in the first few moments that it occurred. So I would say if you can afford it, and you're thinking you might want to do it, and you're wondering whether or not it's worth it, I would suggest that it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say so. And then we did our family dance, and that was beautiful. We did a dance where Michael danced with my daughter, and then I danced with my 3 sons, one after the other, and then we kind of did like a group. We just, this kind of like huddle thing that we do sometimes, a huddle dance. And that was really fun.
And all of it's captured in both picture and
the video.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's great.
That's wonderful. So when you guys were planning, what were some of the most important aspects where you focused your attention or your budget?
The most important thing was the roots. So, and so photography and videography, and frankly, okay, everyone has said it, but I'll just say it again. That's what you have left. So, it really is important. It's the most important thing.
Do both of them.
Yeah, do both. We did not have a video for our wedding, but we did do it for the vow renewal, and I regret not having had done that for our wedding. Now, granted, when we got married, we were poor, like we were really poor, So I don't know, but I can tell you that that was definitely worth the money. And food, of course, people have to be happy with the food, otherwise it's just a no-go.
I agree. Those were the leading points.
Big things, yeah.
And then were there any aspects that were less important where you saved money or just your effort?
I would say I saved money on doing certain things myself, but I put in so much effort that I'm not sure it was worth it. Well, for one thing, I saved a ton of money on my gown because my friend designed it, and she's extremely talented, and she owns that bridal store in Haddon Heights, New Jersey, called Simplicity, and her name's Christine, and she's an amazing designer, and she gave me a very nice discount on that dress. I will say that. And that dress was just stunning. It was a stunner. I did a lot of things myself. Like I did menus, and I did table numbers. Well, actually, I did use somebody on the Facebook group to do the designs. Jennifer Lauren. She did my designs. So she designed my invitations and the table numbers, and the unplugged poster, and then the table chart. And those were beautiful. So I had those printed up myself. She did the designs. And but I did the menu cards myself. And I ordered a bunch of stuff from Etsy. Like I got place setting names from Etsy. I made personalized water bottles for everybody with my Cricut machine. Boy, I really made use of that Cricut machine. I really wanted to get my money's worth out of that thing. I made T-shirts. I made welcome bags. I made my own Vow Renewal logo. I just went haywire on that. So it was a lot of effort, but I did save money doing that. But, we didn't do a whole lot in terms of decor. I think we did do some things, but it wasn't over the top or anything. So that's probably where we saved some money. But honestly, I feel like we didn't save a lot. I really, that's the other great thing about a vow renewal. You're not spending somebody else's money. You're spending yours. So if you overspend, well, hey,
that's on you.
It's on you. Yeah.
Well, I don't think there was much savings going on.
Oh God.
Our approach was really, we were doing this, and it was to mark a special event in our lives and that of our family. And we have the good fortune to have a certain means that we could do something like this, and we weren't shy about it, and we didn't cut corners. And yes, Tracy did a lot of the crafty type things, but that was partly for her fun too. It wasn't really a focus of saving money per se. But I don't regret any penny that we spent. I thought everything was well worth it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it wasn't cheap, but it was worth it to us. Yeah.
That's wonderful. So what is each of your favorite memory of the Vow Renewal Day?
Mine, hands down, is the family dance that we did. We sort of have this, I guess it's a tradition. So we have 2 children who have left the home now, and then we have 2 that are still here. And when we say goodbye to them, like when we bring them to college, they're leaving the nest, we do like this huddle thing. And it's sort of like just become this organic thing that our family does when we say goodbye to each other for a special occasion or when we mark a special occasion. And we did that kind of huddle dance with the Phil Collins song, You'll Be in My Heart. And that song has special meaning for all of us because it's a very important song to my daughter and her best friend who was also there. And it just speaks to us as the song about family. I mean, okay, all of us were bawling, that's for sure. But I mean, it was amazing because I looked up and everybody was bawling, and all of our guests started pouring onto the dance floor when Steve invited them to also dance, and they didn't dance either. We just all hugged each other, and I mean, it was crazy. It was like all this hugging and crying, you know. I mean, it was like very. I guess, you know. I mean, you know, the thing about it is 30 years of marriage. It's a milestone, and it means something, and that our family has had our struggles, and we've come out of those struggles, and we're going to have more struggles, and we're going to come out of those struggles because we have each other, and we have each other's back, and our friends have our backs, and we have their backs, and it's just a very, very beautiful moment. I wish everyone could have a moment like that in their life.
Michael, what was your favorite moment? Was it getting bagels?
No, that was not my favorite moment. It would be hard to just point to one, although what Tracy described, I think, is certainly in that sort of collection of memories that are floating through my mind as we speak right now. You know, just sort of flashes from the ceremony or comments Father Trout made during what I guess I would call a mini homily. The pictures at Picture Point, and just me and Tracy sort of interacting after the moment. It made me recall and this was kind of odd, it made me recall the feeling I had 30 years prior after we were married and we were in our limo going to our reception. There was this sort of relaxed feeling that I had then that I also had again after the ceremony for the Vow Renewal. It was very similar, different in many ways, but similar in the sense that there was this almost like a relief and more of a relaxed feeling that things had gone well. And I just sort of connected those two events in my mind. And so that was interesting. And then, of course, the moments at the reception that Tracy mentioned. Tracy did a beautiful song for me. I'm a big U2 fan, and she did a rendition of Every Breaking Wave, and it was quite nice and very moving. And then I think just in terms of the energy of the event, it was the entry of Mickey and Goofy. It really electrified the room, and there was a collective gasp. It was noticeable, and I'll never forget. I looked over at my third child, Matthew, and again, we had not told anyone we had arranged for the characters to be there. And his mouth was like on the floor. You know, he was like stunned that this had occurred. And you sort of had to know his personality to know why that was significant.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was just sort of, I have that memory in my mind as I'm speaking to you right now. So it was just a very special day, as were the two other events that were
yes.
the bookends, if you will, the welcome party at EPCOT and then the farewell brunch. It was just a really wonderful thing that we did, well worth every penny that we spent on it. And then to boot, like we did with our honeymoon 30 years ago, we did a cruise, but this was a Disney cruise. And so we had the week of the Vow Renewal, and then we followed it up with a week on the Disney Fantasy, which was absolutely stunning.
Yeah, it really was. And that's true with the welcome party. We had a ride mix-in on Soarin', which is one of our favorite rides. And two of our friends, this one couple that we're friends with, they're DVC as well. And when we started, we didn't tell anybody we were doing the ride mix-in either. So that was a complete surprise. And so the guide was taking us through the park. And of course, our friends knew this was not the exit to the park, right? Because they know EPCOT very well. And my one friend was saying to me, "Where are we going?" You know, and I'm like, "Well, we're going to go this way." And he goes, "We don't have to go this way. We can just go through International Gateway." And I was like, "Well, we're not going to go through International Gateway. We're going to go this way." And one of my sons comes up to us and he says, "Are we going on something?" You know, and I'm like, "Well, I don't know what you mean." He goes, "Well, we wouldn't be going this way if we weren't going on something." And I was like, "We might be going on," and my friend lost it. He was like, "Are you serious? Are we going on something? Are we going on Soarin'?" Like, he was so excited. It was ridiculous. He was like, "I can't believe it. I just can't believe it." And of course, as soon as we got back from the Vow Renewal, the next time we contacted them, they were like, "Well, we need to talk to you about how you went about doing that Vow Renewal, because we may be doing that too."
Ooh, the only thing better than having a vow renewal is being a guest at a Disney vow renewal.
That's right. That's right. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And when the characters came out, so awesome. I mean, and my oldest came up to me at one point while everybody was all excited, and he said, "Boy, you just really did this up, didn't you?" And I said, "Don't you know me? I'm never going to do it halfway." I'm never going to do it halfway.
That's awesome. So, did anything go wrong or just not turn out like you expected?
There was one thing that was a bit of a snafu with the welcome party at EPCOT. We had, I guess, it was a lesson in herding cats, meaning getting people to do and be where you want them to be and go where you want them to go is not always the easiest thing. So we had directed people to meet collectively in the boardwalk lobby, and then we would process as a group to the EPCOT entrance and then to UK Lochside. But of course, other people had different ideas about what they wanted to do. So we had one couple who were late and could not meet us at the boardwalk lobby, and so said that they would meet us at the International Gateway. Now, unfortunately, they are not very familiar with Disney, and so when we had used lingo like that has meaning to us. To them, it didn't have much meaning, and so I think they put it into Google Maps, and they ended up going someplace else entirely. So they were late. And so where you have to go like from point A to point B, even where you've provided specific direction, you've given them a welcome bag with written directions, everyone has your cell phone, you have a daughter who's the head of corralling people, even that is going to lead to some circumstances where there's a lost sheep somewhere going off into the wilderness. But it happens, and it worked out fine. It's just it caused some scrambling here and there.
I really, really worried about this issue because my mother has severe mobility issues. And I just got her a wheelchair, and for the day of, I ended up using a service, I should have mentioned these people earlier, called Granny's Nannies. Fantastic organization. I would highly, highly recommend them. We hired this private young lady to take care of my mom, and she did a great job. And I believe her name was Kelly. So Granny's Nannies, highly recommend them. So what didn't go right as far as Disney is concerned? So there was a couple things. First thing was not big deals, but just, kind of annoying. My tablecloths didn't come in. I mean, okay. It was kind of annoying, but it wasn't the end of the world. My tables still look nice. They just didn't look as nice as they would have had my tablecloths come in. And then the other thing was the cake. I really wanted a lot of leftover cake. And I even put it in my BEO that I wanted big chunks of cake to go home with me because I really love cake. And I even bought these fancy Tupperware things that collapse that I could bring in my suitcase. And so what they did was they gave me 3 big slabs of cake when they served it. And of course I didn't have time to eat it. So I ate like 1 bite of each flavor because there were 3 flavors. And then when the event was over, we had cake boxes that apparently a lot of people took cake home, which is what I wanted. But then when I looked to see whether I got my cake, that was supposed to be saved for me, they didn't do it. I think what happened was I thought somebody had put those slabs into a Tupperware or something, and I think they thought I was walking away and I didn't want it. I'm not sure. I was pretty upset about it though, because I really wanted that cake, and I'm really hoping somebody else ate it and that it didn't get thrown out. but that was a little. It was kind of like partially Disney's fault, but partially my fault because I didn't pay enough attention. But that was disappointing, I would say. But other than that, we had our day of coordinator was fantastic. Our regular coordinator was very nice. I know while we were planning, one of the big issues that we were kept hearing about was nobody answers you. Like you'll email them and call and nobody answers. We didn't really have that experience. I would say since the pandemic, it seems like they've gotten caught up. I don't know. Now, granted, they're not going to answer you in like 2 hours. It is going to take a day or so. But they did answer us, for the most part. I didn't feel like. Now, I know a lot of people would want to have like a lot of hand holding. There's not a lot of hand holding, okay? It's not going to be planned out a year in advance. Like they have a schedule that they keep to, and that's the way it goes. But I can't complain about that. I felt like they were responsive, wouldn't you say?
I agree.
Yeah.
We had concerns because of the things Tracy had heard,
right.
In the year or two before.
Yeah.
But it didn't really end up being an issue at all.
No, not for us.
Oh, that's wonderful. Is there anything you would have done differently knowing what you know now?
I would have chosen a later time. I really did not anticipate. It wasn't anybody's fault that we had to be up at 4:30. Oh, and then the other thing, the park shoot, they pushed that earlier as well. So like I had to be up again at 3:30 in the morning, like 2 days later. But if I were to do it again, I would have just had a later start. I would have to heck with the minimums, and I would have just done a later time. But it's easy to say that again. We were paying for this ourselves, and we didn't have to worry about anybody else being upset about needing to make minimums. So, but other than that, I would have done exactly the same thing.
I really did enjoy the park shoot, which we had 2 days after the reception.
Mm-hmm.
And I was stunned when Michael Boo mentioned to me that often the brides just do that themselves. I guess the notion is that, that's for her and so forth. And I thought to myself, oh, only a newlywed man could be so stupid. And so, you have to go as the man. And by the way, it's a lot of fun, and it was one of the special memories that I have of the event.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah, and then we went to, after we did our photo shoot, we went to the Poly at Ohana and had breakfast in our outfits, and we got to do the characters again. So it was like so cool.
That's a great tip. Do you guys have any other tips or advice for future Disney couples, maybe those who are considering a vow renewal?
We debated for so long about whether it was appropriate for us to do a vow renewal, whether we were being flamboyant, I don't know, somehow over the top with doing a vow renewal. And there's no doubt this vow renewal was over the top. However, the bottom line is just do it. If that's what you want to do, just do it. This will be a memory that we'll have forever. We have video recordings of our children being interviewed about their lives growing up and how we were as parents, and they're going to have those recordings for their children. And I just think it was just worth every penny for us. It was probably the best day of my life, really.
I would recommend anyone who's considering doing it that they do it. For us, it was a special event, and it had impact on us not only as a couple but as a family. And I think it was important that we took the time to mark this event and recognize it as the big deal that it actually is. And I think with the photography and the videos and so forth, that's something that can be passed forward. I would love to see my grandparents talking on the day of their wedding. I would love to see my parents talking on the day of their wedding. And to have marked this event in this way, I mean, we've made a message moving forward in our family, and then hopefully generations will actually look at it out of curiosity, I would imagine. And they'll see why these types of events are important. And if you're not going to live your life, who will, I guess is the point. And I think you should do it.
Marriage is hard work. The wedding is really cool, but marriage is hard work. And so you're making a statement that this was worth all the work and that it's a beautiful thing. And I think marriage kind of gets a bad rap these days. And so any chance we can get to really celebrate that, it's not just for the couple, but for us as a whole, as a group, as a people, as a village.
I thought it was particularly affirming for our children. I was surprised by how affirming it was for them, because I had thought that this was for us, and that my concerns about it being over the top. I thought, oh, is this going to look silly? Here we are, we're in our 50s, we're married 30 years, and we're having another wedding, so to speak, and it didn't come across that way at all. And in particular, with the children, it didn't. I think they were moved, and I think they saw a method to the madness of what marriage is, what it's actually about. And I think they connected with that in a way that I don't think you normally would as a kid living in a family, or even as the couple, going about your day. You have to take a step back and reflect on these things and acknowledge that they are important things. And in doing that, you affirm the decisions that you make in your own life, and you provide a rationale for moving forward. So I do highly recommend that people do it and treat their life in an important way, because it is important. And that's something that we kind of learned in the COVID era about, we didn't want to waste any more time anymore. Yes. There was a statement I kept saying, because with everything sort of crumbling around us, and everyone had lost someone, and of course we had all sorts of political controversies over the last couple of years, largely in relation to COVID. And it just seemed, very appropriate that we take a step back from that madness and reflect on what is solid and what is real. And so I'm really happy we did this. And
especially in the light of COVID. Yeah. I thought that I'm a physician, so we've had a bad few years, I mean, it's just been, really hard. And I really felt like that this was the time to celebrate our life. And we lost people. Everybody did, I think, whether it was to COVID itself or just to the circumstances surrounding it. And this was really L'chaim, it was a celebration of life and love, and the choice to love.
That's wonderful. Well, Tracy and Michael, I think you've offered a lot of great tips and advice for anyone who's interested in getting married or having a vow renewal at Walt Disney World, and I appreciate your taking the time.
Oh, you're welcome, Carrie. It's an honor to be on your show, really.
Thank you. I was happy to be included.
There's no greater resource for anything Disney wedding than your book, and you got to get it.
That's our show for today. I'm your host, Carrie Hayward, inviting you to join me again next week for another episode of the Disney Wedding Podcast. Past shows and tons of photos for each episode are available on my website, DisneyWeddingPodcast.com, or listen in your favorite podcast app. And for instant answers to all your Walt Disney World wedding questions, check out Carrie Hayward's Fairy Tale Weddings Guide, available as an interactive ebook with continual free updates at fairytaleweddingsguide.com.